Hey everybody, welcome back to another video. What you're looking at here will be our project stitch of the day. You can also follow along with the instructions for this particular stitch, which is called the Entrelac stitch, on redheart.com under the pattern LW3435. You can follow along under that pattern. It's called Trip Around the World Throw. I will be reading off instructions under that pattern for this particular stitch. So those of you who want to move on using this stitch and go into making an actual project afghan using this, you can do so using this pattern. This is not an afghan tutorial. This is only the stitch. This is learning how to work up this particular stitch pattern. This is an intermediate stitch pattern. This can work up very quickly. Once you get the pattern and the feel for it, it does move fairly quickly from my point of view. This is one that you just have to get the feel for. And the objective here is I've done it in two different types of yarn just so you can see the difference. Now these are worked up exactly the same. The only difference here is you can see where I've used Red Heart yarn and I've used I Love This yarn. So you can see the huge difference in size here. And I do believe that one was just used in an H, which is this one, and this one used in an I. So not a whole lot of size difference. So beware here of the yarn that you use is going to make a huge difference. You can use as many colors in this afghan, if you choose to use this as an afghan, as I'm referring to, as you want. You can change them as often as you want. This is a very versatile project if you choose to go for that. This is a very detailed pattern as well, and I'm going to zoom in here so you can actually see the stitch work here. Now the side that we will be working on is going to be the side where you see what we're going to call ribs here. We're going to be seeing this side of the project as we're working. We're going to be working in these stitches up here, and we're going to be building the blocks. You will be building one block at a time, and you will be looking at the ribs. Each block will contain 5 rows, and you will see each row being built. And these rows are worked up in actual Tunisian crochet. Now you can use a standard hook, or you can use a Tunisian hook, whichever you choose to use. These squares are worked in 2 different steps. You can see the notes underneath the pattern itself. You will be doing a forward pass, which you will be picking up the loops on your hook. You will have you will end up having 7 loops on your hook, and that will be your forward pass. And then your second step will be your return pass, which you will be working those loops off of your hook, same as Tunisian crochet. So then if you turn your piece over, you will see the correct side, or the right side almost gives you a little bit of a woven or a knitted look, and it's absolutely beautiful. So you can tell the more colors that you use, the more vibrant and beautiful and the play on color that this piece will give you. So we will go more into detail about how to work up these blocks or these squares as we get into this project. So eventually what you're going to be doing is just basically repeating building these blocks or these squares. So as I go through teaching you this, I'm just going to label these as blocks, okay? so you will understand that. So we're going to be building from the center out. Okay, so basically in this piece, which is a perfect example here because this one is the one I'm currently working on. This one was the piece that I had finished. You work from the center. This was the beginning, and then you just work your way out. And your block will start with a chain, I believe it's a chain 6, and then we will start working our first block. Okay, and you will get however many colors that you want to start with. I'm just going to start with 2, which is what I have been doing. You can get whatever size hook that you want to start with. I will use either an H or an I, and I will get my 2 colors. You can pull up that pattern on redheart.com, which again is LW3435, and you can follow along with the instructions with me on that as well. And a correction, we will start with a chain 7 on that first square. So and then the chain 6 will follow, and I will instruct you on that as we go, as well as a few other notes as we go. So grab all of your pieces that you need to start with, all of everything that you need for this particular project, and I will be right back with you and we will get started. Okay, so I'm going to use pink and yellow. That way they can be bright enough and we can see our colors. So I am also going to use an H, which is also a 5mm, and I will take my time and I will go slow, and we will make sure everyone understands the entrelac stitch. Alright, so following the pattern on Red Heart and some of my own personal notes, we are going to start with the center square. We are going to start with a chain 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. And again, remember that you are going to be working in a forward pass, and you're going to be working this in tunes as a Tunisian crochet. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to flip this over, and we're going to be working in what is typically called the back humps. So what you want to do is you're going to pick up your loops. Okay, so you're going to start into the second stitch. So let me zoom in a bit. So you want to pick up those humps. Okay, so if you turn your chain over, and if you see, I'm trying to get to where you can see them pretty good. You see these humps right here? All these little humps that are sticking up, that's where you want to put your hook. So you want to grab those humps right there and pull through and hold those on your hook. So you should have 2 counting that beginning stitch, and just keep doing that all the way across. So insert your hook, grab your yarn through, pull up, and hold. And do that all the way across. So you should have 4, 5, 6, and the last one will give you 7. So now you've completed your very first forward pass. And remember, there's 2 steps to this process. So now the second step, you're going to do your actual second step, which is going to be your return pass. So you're going to now work them off. So yarn over, and the first step to working this off is you're going to pull through 1 only. Okay, now you're going to work through 2. So yarn over, pull through 2, and do that the rest of the way. Yarn over, pull through 2, 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 yarn over, pull through 2. And you've just completed your first row of 5. Now we're just going to do that again. So now for the next row, you are going to be looking at the first row of ribs here. You see these ribs right here? That's what we're going to be grabbing up and working for our next first pass. So you're going to go under that first rib, grab a yarn, pull up. The second rib is going to be right into place, so it should just jump out at you. Yarn over, pull up. The next rib, yarn over, pull up, and then just work your way across. And they should be very obvious. Okay? So now you should have 6 of them on your hook at this point. You want to make sure to grab that last rib right here. It's important that you maintain 7. Okay? So now, just like we did on our first row, you want to yarn over, pull through 1 only. Alright? Now you'll start to yarn over, pull through 2. And you will work off 2 at a time. So yarn over, pull through 2, 2, 2, 2, and 2. Alright, so now you are starting to see your second row. Alright, so now we're going to work the same way again. So now you're going to go back into the next rib of the row just completed. So you're going to do the same process. You're going to do this for a total of 5 rows, okay? So you're going to yarn over, pull through, and hold your next rib. Same thing. So there's 3, there's 4, there's 5, there's 6. Make sure to get that last one in there. And there's 7. Okay, so there's your forward pass. Now we want to work on our return pass. So yarn over, pull through 1 only. Now start to work 2 off at a time. So same process. And this is our 3rd row. And you'll do this process until you have 3 rows. So it should be obvious by looking at our ribs here, so what I'm calling them, as to how many rows you have at this point. So you see 1, 2, and now 3. Okay, so now we have 2 left to do before this block is completed. So now we're going to do it again. So you're going to insert your hook here in the first rib and pull through. Work your way across. And by now they should just be jumping out at you, so you can go at the speed necessary. If you feel more comfortable, go right ahead and pull through. Make sure to get that last one. So now you should have your 7. So yarn over and pull through 1 only, and now work 2 off at a time. Remember that first one or last one, however you want to classify that, is always one by itself. So we're working 2 off at a time now. Okay. Oops. So now that should be your 4th row. So let's lay that down and count. So 1, 2, 3, and 4. So now we should be working our last row. So let's go into that first rib, pull up, and just work your ribs here, pulling through. So there's 4, there's 5, there's 6, and there's 7. Now let's work our return pass. Let's yarn over, pull through 1, and now working 2 off all the way across. Okay, so now you have your first completed block, but it's not completed yet. Now what you have to do is you actually have to fasten off these blocks. You see you have these gaps at the top of the square. You don't want to leave that. So what we're going to have to do basically is we're going to have to make a slip stitch row all the way across the top, and you have to do this across each row of each block. So what you want to do is go into the first post here or rib here, and you want to just basically slip through and through, and you're going to do that all the way across the top. So pull through and through, through and through, and you do that all the way, and you see that that's going to tie off here any open gaps. So now what you want to do when you get to the end is just pull all the way through and through, and if you do look, you closed up those gaps at the top and you have a completed first block. Alright, so now what you want to do, if you're changing color here, you want to finish off, and we are going to pull that strand through. So if you turn your block over, and you look how nice and knitted that comes across. Now I do have to say that this is probably one project, if you're making an afghan or if you're making a scarf or whatever you may be making out of this, you probably will have to block this project. This project is very curly, so I would recommend blocking. So if I bring this back, this is the square that we just completed. So now we're going to be working on this part. Okay, so that was our first block. So when I come back from my break, we will add our second color. Alright, so now I've got my yellow, and I am going to join in this corner here, and you want to make sure that your bars are going to align once you do. You don't have to join in the same finishing corner, but when you do join, you want to make sure that your bars are going to be in the same direction. So I'm going to join with a slip stitch, and now you are not, this is one of my notes, and it's just a typical tip here for the Entrelac stitch. You do not have to chain 7 now, because one of your chains will be this stitch here, so you will only have to chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and I will show you what I mean. So now you have to make the start of the next block. So you have to have the foundation here to do so, because there's not an arch, there's not an angle or an L to do so. You have to build that up first. Now as we get further into this, there will be arches already made, so I will explain that more as we get into this. But if there's not already an arch or an L made, then we handle that differently, which will be explained. But if there's not one, we do have to build that up. So now we're going to turn this over, and we're going to work into the humps of the second one, and we're going to start now working up our loops on our hook. We're going to start working our forward pass. So we're going to grab up our loops again. So let's find those. So there's 1, or this on our hook is 1, so let's do this as 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and now like I said, the one that we started in is going to be our 7th. Okay, so you want to go right into that corner and pull that one up. Now we're just going to start like we've been doing, yarn over and pull through 1 only, and now start working off our pass, our I keep forgetting the return pass. So we're going to pull through 2 all the way across. Okay, just like we've been doing, just work your return pass and pull through 2 until we get to the end. Okay, so now there's the first row. Remember, we have to have 5. So now we're going to work on a forward pass, and all we're going to do now is work back this direction and pick up those 7 loops. So now you have 1. So let's grab those bars and pick those back up on our hook. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now you're probably saying, where's the 7th? Okay, now the 7th is going to be the next stitch on this first block. Okay, so we went into the corner here, so now you want to jump to the next available stitch on this first block and then just pull that through like that. Then you're just going to yarn over, pull through 1, and then just start working off on your return pass, pulling through 2 at a time. And that's how you're going to connect your blocks. Okay, so just pulling through 2 until you have 1 loop remaining. Now remember, as I said, you wanted to make sure that your bars here are going in the same direction. You see how they're lined up here, going up and down. Well, you also want to make sure that they're going up and down here. Okay, so now let's work our 3rd row here. So you want to go under your bar and start working our forward pass. So there's 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now remember, our 7th stitch is going to be on the project on this block. So you want to go to the next available stitch, pull that through. Now yarn over and work 1 loop off, then yarn over and start working off 2 at a time. Okay, that's our 3rd row. So you should have 3 rows there. Now we'll start working our 4th. So just go under your ribs here. So now you should be fairly comfortable with this procedure. Okay, so now we're looking for that 7th stitch again. You want to go on the block itself and pull that loop through. So yarn over, pull through 1 loop only. Now pull through 2. Alright, so that was 4. So now we're going to make sure we have 4 at this point. So you've got 1, 2, 3, and now 4. So let's do our 5th row. So let's start working our front pass. So 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay, our 7th stitch is on the block. Pull that through. Pull through 1 loop only. Now pull through 2. Okay, so you'll work off 2 all the way across. Okay, so now that we have 5, now we're going to have to do our fastening off here because of these gaps. You don't want those to stay there. So now you're going to go through that first rib and you're just going to slip stitch off. You're going to slip stitch all the way across. So go through each rib, pull through and through. Through and through. Okay. Alright, so now you're just going to go into this top corner stitch here and you're just going to pull through and through, and that is going to connect your 2 blocks. Okay, so now basically all you're going to do is you're going to work this top square here, you're going to basically work your next 3 squares exactly the same. So your top square, your side square, and your bottom square are all going to be worked just like we did this square. And if you're going to stay with the same color, basically like I did here, that's the color scheme you will get if you're staying with the same color. That's how you're going to do it. So what you're going to end up doing here is building up your next square. So what you'll have to do is chain up another 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Okay? And then you're just going to start working your loops. So 1, or that's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then this one's your 7th, the corner one, and you pull that through. So you're going to yarn over, pull through 1, and then you're going to work 2 off at a time. Okay? And then basically you're just going to keep building this next block. So it's just going to be the same as what we've been doing. So you're going to go through your next rib. So that was your first row of your 3rd block. So now this is your 2nd row of your next block. Just keep pulling those ribs. So you're working your front pass. So now you're going to go into the next stitch here on the top of this first block. Yarn over, pull through 1 only. Now you're going to work 2 off. Okay? Alright, so now you'll just keep working that same procedure until you have your 5 rows. Okay, so you've got 6 on your hook. You'll go into the next stitch available and pull through. Yarn over, pull through 1, and then you'll pull through 2. Okay, so that was 3. So now we're going to do row 4. So we're just going to work our front pass, working underneath our ribs here. Okay, so you got 6. Work in the next available stitch here and pull up. Yarn over, pull through 1. Yarn over, pull through 2 all the way across, working our return pass. Okay, so let's lay that down. Let's see how many rows we have. So we've got 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we need 1 more row, and then this block will be complete. So let's go 1 more row here, working our front pass under our ribs here. So that's 4, 5, and 6. Okay, let's go into that next stitch and pull up. Yarn over, pull through 1 only, and then working off 2 at a time. Alright, now remember with those gaps here at the top, we want to finish those off by slip stitching under each rib. So pull through and through. Next rib, pull through, and work that across. Okay, so now what you want to do is just go into that very next corner stitch on the actual pink block here on mine and join that together. Then you have your third block. Okay, so now I'm going to let you do these next two by yourself. It's nothing no different than what I've just shown you. So then I will join you up at the next corner here at the end, and we will move on to the next step of this beautiful stitch. Okay, so just go ahead and chain up your 6 here, and then you will be able to go ahead and continue working off your loops just like I've shown you, and I will rejoin you. Alright, so now this was our second round of squares, and don't worry if this looks a little funny. These little gaps here will close up as we work. So now we're going to start our third round of squares. Now when you're starting a new color and you're starting your third round and so on, you want to make sure to always start at the tops of your squares. So what we're going to do is we're going to start here at this corner, and I'm going to show you that this gap is going to disappear. So I'm going to take my pink and we're going to start right here at this corner. You're going to join with a slip stitch. So now you're going to see that there's already a corner, there's already an arch here that exists. So this is where I was telling you that as long as there's already a foundation existing here, we don't have to chain our 6 here, because there's already stitches that exist for us to build on here. Okay, so if we were to chain up 6 right here, that would really defeat the point of the blocks that are already existing, because we can already build on what's here. So what we're going to do is we already have one on our hook, so we're going to use what's already here on this previous block. So 1, now you're going to go in the next stitch, pull through, there's 2, the next one, go in, there's 3, the next one, there's 4, next one, 5. Okay, the corner one here is 6, which is where it's joined at. Now your 7th, you're going to jump over, and I know it looks a little jumbled, but that's okay. The 7th is going to be the very first one on the next yellow block. So pull that through. And this is where that corner is going to close. Yarn over, pull through 1 only. Now yarn over, pull through 2. Okay, you see that close up? Now just start working your return pass. Pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2, pull through 2. Okay, so that's how that's going to start building on that block. Now you're just going to start working your second row for this beginning block of your third section of blocks. So just start working them on your forward pass now. So there's 4, there's 5, there's 6, and then your next stitch will be, you will be moving up this next block. Alright, now that yarn over, pull through 1, and then start pulling through 2. And then those gaps there in the corner should pretty much be non-existent. Alright, so there's your second row. Now we'll work on our third. So start working that forward pass again. Oops, let's grab all those strands. There's 4, 5, 6. Now the next stitch will be on the block. Pull that through, yarn over, pull through 1, and now pull through 2. Okay, now work your forward pass, and everything's starting to look much neater now, much more satisfying. Alright, so now you've got 6, so go to the square and go into that stitch, pull up, pull through 1 only, now pull through 2. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, we've got one more to do here. So let's work row 5 here. Go into that next stitch. Now work them off. Okay, so that's 5 rows. Let's back up a bit here so you can see. Alright, so now we have to finish this row off because we want to close those gaps up. So now we'll start doing our slip stitching under our ribs here. So pull through and through under each rib and finish those off. We'll neaten those up. That's my new word of the day, neaten. Alright. Now you want to go into this corner stitch here and slip. So now do you see how much more gratifying that looks? It makes it look so much more beautiful. Now you've got that straightened out. Now you're going to be working upward here because there is no corner build here. Okay, there's nothing to connect here. So now this is the place and this is the position to where you are going to have to chain up 6 because there's nothing here to build off of like there was here. Now when you get over here, you have a building foundation. You have an angle here. That's a different story. Now you're going to have to build here. So you're going to have to chain 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, so now we're going to have to start by turning our chain and picking those loops up on the humps here on the backs of those chains. So pull through and pick up those humps. So 3, 4, 5, 6, and once again you're going to go right back into that join and chain, right into that corner for your 7th. Pull through. Yarn over, pull through 1, and then start working your return pass by pulling through 2 all the way across. Alright, so there's your row 1. Now we're going to work row 2 by working our forward pass, picking up those loops. So 4, 5, 6. Now working on the square itself, pick up that 7th loop, yarn over, pull through 1 only, and then let's start pulling through 2 as we go all the way across. And by now you should pretty well have a rhythm going. So there's row 2. So let's go forward pass again, picking up those loops as you go. Okay, so you've got 6. Now on that block you want to pick up loop 7. Yarn over, pull through 1 loop, Now pull through 2 going across. Alright, working front pass again, picking up loops. So 6 on your hook, and now on this block you want to pick up number 7, and now working them off. Alright, so let's see, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, so we have row 5 to do here. So let's work our front pass again. Alright, let's get this last stitch here. It's on the square, and now let's work these off. Okay, now we need to finish off this square, so we need to slip stitch under our ribs. So let's pull through and through under each rib. Alright, number 6 there. Now you want to go into this very corner stitch, slip stitch as well. Okay, now that corner or that block is complete. Alright, so now our next block here, as I said previously, you have that foundation to build on. Okay, so you do not have a need to build any additional block here or any foundation to build on. You can build on what you have. So what you'll do is we will start building here just like we did back here on this block, and I'll be right back with you to do so. Okay, so we are now going to start building this next block. And as I said, we have our building foundation here. We have this angle to build on. So let's start. So we have 1 on our hook already, so we'll go into the next stitch that's already here and pull up. So we have 2 on our hook, the next stitch, 3, 4, 5, we'll go into the corner stitch, 6, and then the next stitch will be here on the next yellow block here, and that's 7. So now we'll pull through 1, and then we'll start working 2 off at a time. So it's no different than what we've been doing. Okay, so now we'll start working our front pass now. So this will be row 2. So that's 5, that's 6. The next stitch will be the next one up here on this block that we're currently working on. So pull that up, yarn over, pull through 1, and working off 2 at a time. Okay, so that was row 2. So this should be getting simpler for you at this point, because now all we're doing is repeating pretty much everything. So now we're just making a forward pass and picking up loops. We are on our 3rd row here. So 6 on our hook. The next stitch on this current block, pick that up, yarn over, pull through 1 loop, and now pull through 2. Alright, now next row, get these loops on our hook for our forward pass. And this really makes a beautiful afghan. I have not made one personally yet, but I am working on it. Alright, so next stitch on our block, pull through, yarn over, pull through one hoop, and working two off. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 4, so last row for this block. Alright, so let's go into that next stitch and pull through, yarn over, and start working those loops off. Alright, so now we want to slip stitch across the top, closing those gaps up. So let's pull through and through each of those ribs. You want to close up those gaps. Alright, and then we will slip into that very top corner of that same square. Alright, so there's our next block. Now, of course, you now see there is no building block up here at the top. There's no angles, no L's, no corners. Of course, this is where you will have to chain your 6 again. So you will have to have your building section here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So now you will turn this over and you will start picking up those humps and getting those loops on that hook. So there's 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and go right into that corner that you joined in for your 7th. Now yarn over, pull through 1, and start working 2 at a time. Okay, so let's now do our next forward pass. So get those loops on your hook. So that's 3, 4, 5, 6. And for the 7th, go on to the current block and pull that through. Yarn over, pull through 1 loop, and then pull through 2. Making that return pass. Okay. Your next forward pass here for row 3. Okay, the 7th stitch is again on the block. Pull through 1 loop only. Now pull through 2 all the way across. Alright, work your next row. And this gets a lot simpler as you go because you start getting into the physical rhythm and your hands and your eyes and your mind all together just start picking it up very quickly. Okay, so now we have 1, 2, 3, 4. So now our last row for this block. And pick up that last stitch on the block and start working the last return pass for this block. Alright, now we're going to work our slip stitches across so we can close up those gaps. and then you want to join up at the top of that corner to join those together. And then that's what you have with that block completed. Okay, and that, guys, is pretty much all there is to the Entrelac stitch. You're just going to keep going and going and going. Feel free to change color at any time. You know, you can complete this round until you get back over here. If you want to just change color wherever and just do it sporadically, that's up to you. Or if you want to complete this row and change color, that's totally up to you. Other than that, I can keep going, but I'm just going to keep showing you the same thing over and over. Whenever you come to here, you've already got your foundation built, so then you're just going to work this next block here. And then when you get here, you're going to chain up your 6 and you're going to build your foundation for your block. So it's just pretty much going to be the same as you go around for whichever piece that you have. So it's pretty much just going to be self-explanatory. If you have your angle here, or your kind of like your L shape or your corner, then you know you don't have to chain up your 6. You're just going to build off of what's already there. If you're up here, then you know that there's absolutely nothing to build off of. You're going to chain your 6 and then you're just going to build your block. And then your piece is just going to keep growing and growing, and you change your color as you feel you want to change your color. But that's pretty much all there is to it, and you can flip it over and see your progress and see how beautiful that it gets. But there's really nothing else to this stitch or this stitch pattern. It's just going to grow, and however many blocks that you want it to be, that's how many blocks you're going to have. But again, this is not an afghan project. I was just wanting to instruct you on the stitch itself. But as far as finishing an afghan or whatever, you will have those instructions in this pattern. I will link you to that in the description box, and it will give you all the instructions that you will need for an actual afghan project. But this is just showing you the general stitch itself. So I do hope you enjoyed this tutorial. And again, it is an intermediate stitch pattern, and it's a very, very beautiful one at that. So I hope you guys did enjoy this video, and please don't forget as you watch the videos to please like those as well. And until next tutorial, guys, happy hooking!